Da-dum.
I went a little higher, and this time you did a little like warping. So we're different. We're different from the last episodes.
No,
right?
there's different pirates in the crew. There's different people running the podcast. It all connects, Eric.
It's all different. And you know why? Because we are the Grand Line Tourist podcast, a One Piece chapter by chapter recount, rereading for me, because I am your tour guide of the chapters, the early chapters of One Piece. But this is a reread for Jacob, my friend Jacob here. This is actually a first time reading. Because Jacob, why don't you tell the folks who you are?
Yeah, no, I am the titular Grand Line Tourist. I am Jacob, and I am encountering every moment beat to beat in One Piece for the first time. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, for the first time. I'm so glad that I have a tour guide over here to guide me through everything. And today we are covering Chapter 5. And I believe I'm going to let my tour guide Eric over there give us the itinerary for Chapter 5. What's going on here?
Yes, Chapter 5, titled The Pirate King. No, sorry.
You were close.
Titled.
No worries. You're a tour guide. Sometimes bring out the itinerary for the morning and you just make a verbal flub.
I'm making it worse. Anyway,
I might be like the 100th tourist you've guided through this. No, I believe I'm the first.
You're the
I
very
think
first
I have had the honor. Very good. Okay. No. There's going to be some flubs. That's all good. What's our chapter title?
Yes, the chapter is titled The King of Pirates and the Master Swordsman. I wonder what that's referencing. If you're wondering yourself, then I'm going to tell you right now because I'm just going to review the chapter real quick. Okay, so we open this chapter. We find Luffy still running through the Navy base, holding Helmeppo, essentially like a prop, running around trying to find Zoro's swords because Luffy kind of told Zoro that if I find these swords, you're joining my crew. In the meantime, we have Captain Morgan going down to the Navy Yard with his shooting squad. There to execute both Kobe and Zoro at the same time. Gonna kill him because no one makes Captain Morgan look bad. He's insulted. Right before the guns are shot, in Zoro's eyes, we see a flashback into Zoro's youth. In fact, we find out what Zoro's always been saying in these last two chapters of that he has his own goal and he has no interest in dying now because he has something to conquer. That thing to conquer is all in this backstory about him and his recognized rival, Kyuna, who they were both swordman prodigy essentially, but Kyuna was about 1,001 times better than Zoro because that's how many times she beat him. Jacob. And Zoro, he's very frustrated as a young lad because he can't beat her, and she essentially states that, well, me beating you right now, it's only temporary, because one day you're gonna grow up to a man, and I'm gonna turn into a woman, and like her dad told her over and over again, apparently, that becoming a woman means that you can't become a master swordsman. She's never going to be as strong as Zoro because she's growing up in a world where she thinks that men are always going to be stronger. And that frustrates her because she's really good at sword fighting and she believes that she can do it. Zoro hates that logic. Zoro challenges her that one of us is going to be the sword master of the world. Right, and that means that you and I have to continue growing stronger and keep fighting. And you're not gonna lose to me because you're a woman. You're gonna lose to me because I worked hard and I gained it. Just the same way he feels every time Kyuna probably kicks his butt. That he's trying his hardest and she deserves to win. It's not like something that she's getting because he's a man. We flash back right as we learn all of this tragic backstory, because at the end of it all, Kyuna dies. Sorry, I should have jumped back there. Kyuna dies the day after they make this promise to each other, reminding Zoro of how fragile life is. He takes her sword and takes it upon himself to become a master swordsman and to do it for both himself and for Kyuna. We flash back again right before Captain Morgan's gonna destroy Zoro and Kobe out in this yard. They shoot the guns, and right before the bullets land, Luffy jumps down with the swords on his back, protects them from the bullets, and then essentially says to Zoro, "Yo, bro, you're not getting out of this without fighting, and therefore you're gonna be an outlaw to the Navy. So why not be a pirate, bro?" Doing the one thing that Luffy always wanted from the beginning, was to record Zoro, and Zoro ends the chapter by just saying, "You got yourself a pirate, man."
Yeah, no, that That was a mouthful. There was a lot going on in this chapter. We went
There's
into a flashback. We came back out of that flashback. It's wild.
A big chapter.
This chapter covers a lot of ground, and I really like it. I love this chapter.
I knew you would, because I think this is like a really brief, like start of like, I think the greatness of One Piece. I think it's here. I think this is the chapter 5 is when people are like, oh, this thing has this manga has stuff to say. So,
yeah, and actually, just to jump off with a question for my dear tour guide over there is, I think Zoro's, younger female arch nemesis is named, you pronounced it Kuina? No, you didn't say Kuina, but like I think it's spelled Kuina, right?
Yeah, I would say Kiuna, I think, but I might be wrong with that. It might be
No, and I'm more likely to trust your pronunciation just because you have seen the anime as well in your time. So I feel like,
that was years ago, man. Like we're talking like summer of 2010. There's no way I remember this, like the pronunciation.
You don't have a decades-long pop culture memory? What? I just keep doubting our tour guide here.
It's too late. I already mentioned this last episode too. It's too late for you, man. You're already signed up for 230 plus episodes and chapters. So you gotta buckle in, bruh. This is the best you get.
All right. But we'll follow each other's lead. Whichever name Kuina or Kuina always ends up having by the end of this episode, we'll stick with it.
Right, and then we'll just and then people, this is motivation for you.
Yeah.
If you're hearing us mispronounce this, you can email us at grandlinetourist@gmail.com. Did I get that right, Jacob?
grandlinetourist@gmail.com. Fantastic. You got it. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Let us know how to pronounce Kuina's name, because she probably wants her name to be pronounced right.
Yeah.
She's worried about growing up in a man's world, and she doesn't want two men on a podcast pronouncing her name wrong.
That's true.
So please help us out.
Right, that is true. All right, we're already on it. Let's just talk about it. My big shonen spotlight for this week is the tragic backstory. This is always a thing. This happens even in Disney movies, man. Always got to lose the parents. You know what I mean? Zoro doesn't have parents, I mean, as far as we can tell, but he did have Kiuna here. Let's just talk about it. What you think? How did you feel about the backstory of Zoro here?
I gotta let all the other tourists know this was the moment where One Piece really won me over.
Okay.
Kuina?
Yeah.
She just presents such an interesting, very contemporary feeling, problem. She confronts at a young age this idea that although I'm very good and I can beat Zoro right now, I've been told, and I think she truly believes, she's not going to be able to stay competitive and to be able to beat men in the future,
Right, yeah.
And that's just really sad to see on the page coming, straight out of her mouth, straight to Zoro. And it is inspiring to hear Zoro, rally against her in the way that he does, to say that, I don't care, one of us has got to be, the greatest swordsman, going to be the master swordsman. But I know, like, as individuals reading this, we kind of know that, like, I think Kuina has a point.
Yeah.
Even though Zoro also has a point too, kind of like, follow your dreams, be the best that you can be. I just, I want to compete at your level. Mm-hmm. At the same time, we know it's going to be difficult. And so that washes over me as a wonderful wave of emotion and feeling that I just, hit me in the right spot.
If this was like, that could have been its own manga, dude. Like, that could have been its own manga. The whole Zoro, I would love to watch just a manga called Zoro and Kiuna. Like, I would watch the F out of that and read it, because I feel like that's so cool. It's also kind of like, Zoro is inspiring in the way of being competitive, right? And it's this trope, this shonen trope of recognized rivals. That's why I mentioned it earlier as a term, right? It's a thing that happens a lot in mangas. They usually give like the main character a rival that he recognizes as a rival. But they essentially inspire each other to be better than what they are, right? They push each other. That's what a good rivalry is. But this is tragic in the sense that Zoro found his recognized rival. His rival usually comes off as like a very negative, maybe not negative term, but like competitive term. But I think the way, at least in the mangas and what I'm getting from maybe the way the Japanese sometimes look at rivalry, as like, that could also be one of your closest friends, right? Because
Yeah.
your rival, who's always trying to compete and best you, probably knows you better than anybody else because they have to compete against you so much.
You don't beat someone 2,000 times without like getting, learning about them and knowing what they're gonna, what their next move is gonna be, right?
Yeah, exactly. It just
There's
knowing-
an intimacy in that, you know.
Yes, the intimacy. That's the good word for it. And I think what I've noticed in a lot of mangas and a lot of animes is that they like to Japanese like to culture like to analyze the intimacy between rivals. And I think this is such a cool thing, which I think when I think of it that way, it makes it very tragic that he found this. They were so content and so happy and ready to tackle the world with this rivalry as their like main push. And then it ends.
Oh, and you know what? That's maybe as much as this chapter drew me in. That was the one part that maybe pushed me out back a little bit. She dies a little too fast. It's a little too tidy, and it's all And in the space of one chapter, maybe tell me in another flashback in another chapter. I would say this is an example of One Piece tying it up a little too fast. But I liked the initial backstory so much it didn't matter, But it is very tragic, right? She, quote unquote, falls down the stairs.
Yeah, like literally the next day. That's the line that was, at least that we read translated, was that the next day she falls down the stairs. She has an accident.
I mean, it just must happen to people, right? Me and Eric were good friends, but who knows? One day, one of us might fall down the stairs. Sorry,
I think
Kuina.
for me,
We've been really mean to you this episode.
To me?
No, to Kuina.
Oh,
if that's her name.
all right. Yes, it's all of the above. I was thinking about that a lot. That was actually the next point I wanted to talk about, was that how fast she dies and how she kind of represents what she represents for Zoro, which is, most people kind of chalk it up to like a motivator, which sucks because, for a long time in storytelling, like what ends up happening is that female characters end up being like a catalyst for a male hero's story, right? In some way, some capacity. That's very much what this is. Like, I'm not gonna argue that that's not what this is, right?
I mean, one point in support of that is I think, like, the first time they introduce her, there's a gaggle of boys around, and like in the background of one of the frames, one of the boys is like, "Well, she's a good looker too," and you're just like, okay.
It's one of those tropes. And you know what? We've been working very hard in our storytelling to fix that. I believe that 100%. But I was just thinking about, just like, I think the point I was trying to get across is that life is fragile. Like, even though you have these big plans, it can like end. And if we think about this, like he's thinking about this flashback in the moments right before he essentially thinks he's gonna die, like it's done for him.
Yeah,
right?
It's easy to forget that the flashback is so engrossing. You do forget this is all moments before potential death for Zoro.
This is his like life flash between my eyes sort of deal. And then I think that's what she does really end up representing, his recognized rival that he like, essentially was very intimate with, really looked up to, wanted like his goal, like they were gonna grow strong together and conquer the world together. Essentially, she dies and like life is fragile to him. And then from that point on, he was like, that made him more like committed to his goal of being the master swordsman. And I did rereading it again and just really processing all of this stuff, right? Because just like you, me too, I wanted to make more out of her death than this. Like, I wanted it to be more than this. I was like, maybe it was edgy and she like did it to herself on purpose, right? Despite this, but that's like too dark and edgy, and like that doesn't make sense.
That's super tragic.
Yeah, and then like another like some stuff online, because I did it too. After I reread it, I was like, what is the internet thing? People were like, she was probably murdered. Some people are like, she's gonna come back, and I guess that's not necessarily out of the question, the possibility of her coming back, but I think like trying to place it in this realm where she kind of represents like life is not gonna go the shonen manga way all the time, like she died to kind of show Zoro like, you got to do it now, right?
Yeah.
And then he had that really cool moment where he asks his master sensei, who also happens to be her father, like he and his father.
Yeah.
He's like, can I have this sword? Can I have her sword? And I always thought that was like, oh, it's like tiny thing. But then I reread the dialogue bubble where he says, I'm going to be the greatest swordsman, the master swordsman for you and I. I'm going to be the greatest swordsman that even they hear it in heaven.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like it's not even like
Oh yeah. No. I mean, I read that line too, and I see what you're saying now. Like I just recognized it, and then I recognized what you meant by it. Yeah. Like Kawina's even gonna know about it.
yeah, which I think is like
because
really
she's
sweet.
passed away. It's very sad. No, that is
Yeah.
really sweet. Oh yeah, man. There's One Piece is like so blunt, but yet so subtle. Like it's like an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense, but I like it.
Yeah, dude. So I think that like really solidifies it for me. I also think it's like we were saying before, it's super tragic that her at such a young age is like I could never, like that's essentially saying like I could never be an athlete because I know one day a man's gonna beat me.
Yeah,
Right?
and there's one thing that I would love if we had another tourist or someone that's more engrossed in Japanese culture than us to let us know. I was actually curious if in Japanese the term swordsman is gendered in the same way.
Oh,
because it's almost
interesting.
yeah. Because I know when we read it, it's almost like you can almost like see Kawina's problem when she says, "I want to be a master swordsman," right? You're like,
Right, yeah.
oh yeah, swordsman. I wonder if I wonder if it reads the same way or if that only comes across in the English translation. It'd be interesting to know.
Oh, that's really fun to talk about. Someone let us know. You guys got our email. I'll just say it one more time. grandlinetourist@gmail.com.
Someone's gonna
Yeah.
be the first tourist of our email. Send it in there.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
we'll and just to let you know, we're gonna read stuff out on the show if you send it in. Like it's it's not just gonna be like, oh nice, and we respond to you. No, you're gonna get a public spotlight. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
I just wanna
shined
make
on
it
your
clear
beautiful words.
that Jacob and I are not desperate to interact with you guys. Okay, we're just putting it out there.
I am a little bit.
Will we enjoy? Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, we would. We are kind of. We just want you to talk to us, man. We miss y'all.
Yeah, we need to find
miss
our
y'all because we haven't met y'all.
What's the term? It sounded so good with the alliteration. Recognized rivals.
Yeah.
I think me and you possibly could be recognized rivals. I give you a little bit of a tough time here and now and then, tourist to tour guide. But we got to keep everybody. We can all share our recognized rivalry amongst our community.
You were talking to the future listener who was gonna email us. I thought you were like,
maybe they could.
Yeah, you and
It could
I
be.
abyss out there.
They're gonna push our podcast to new heights by tearing us down with their criticism. No, I'm sorry, we've tangented off a little bit. We were talking about Kawina and all this tragicness surrounding it, and it's really, really striking and really impressive that they pulled it off in one chapter.
Yeah, so this probably explains the speed. Also, just to give a callback back to our episode 2 where we talk about mechanics, blackout page, folks, for the whole whole flashback, folks. So look it up. We're not lying.
So cinematic. I love it. I get excited about mechanics that are consistent and you can see them, you can enjoy them, and this is one of them. Flashbacks, darkness.
Yeah,
on the back
we
of the
even
page,
get
and the black. Very cool.
We even get like a little splash of a blackout when Kobe goes, Zoro, they're never gonna free you. That's why Luffy punched Helmeppo, and we have Helmeppo being punched in the same panel. There's a little splash in the top, like the top corner there. Check it out, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's there. It's a
and that one's cool because it's like you actually get like I think a total reprint of that image from the other panel, and so it's very cool. Yeah, definitely check it out.
Okay. The other thing I want to call out too that I think is a really cool thing is that right in the beginning, it's very kind of on the head. If you already know One Piece, but I think as a new reader, it's kind of cool. In the beginning of the flashback, Kyuna says Zoro, like they call him distinctly Two Sword Zoro.
Oh no, I had that written down too. Two Sword Zoro. I was like, oh, I wonder they wrote that for a reason.
Right, and then she calls him out, and she's like, even with two swords, you're never gonna beat me. And then we see that evolve to now as an adult. He says straight out to Luffy, I use all three of them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He's like, I use three swords. Like, his, Zoro's dumb logic to beating Kyuna one day was going to go to three swords. Like, that's what he thought. That's not what Kyuna was saying. But he was like, this is what I needed. A third sword.
I know exactly how to solve this problem.
Yeah.
An extra sword.
But it's kind of a fun way to kind of do a nod to, like, this is his growth, essentially, in a very obvious, like, physical way, which is a third sword.
And one thing I did also want to mention was the idea of Luffy and Zoro kind of, like, being on the same level a little bit with their characters. Like, I think towards the end of this, there is, like, someone's just, like, after Luffy bounces these bullets back, because he can't be hit by them. He said, like, someone's like, what are you? And he's like, something along the lines of, I'm gonna be king of the pirates, right?
Yep.
And that just totally reflects with Zoro. I'm gonna be, the greatest. Is it the greatest swordsman or the master swordsman?
Master swordsman, I think. Yeah.
He's gonna be the master swordsman, and so it's like they both have these attributes that make them so obvious to be together on the same crew. Like I suspect they're gonna, although they're different, they're gonna get along just fine.
Right, exactly. And it's so good, that whole last section of it, where like Luffy is coercing him, but like Luffy's also like, look, they're about to shoot you, man. And like, you gotta fight, and once you fight, you're a pirate. And like, it's so cheeky, dude. It's a cheeky Luffy move to even call out Zoro in that moment. Yeah. Anything else you want to add before I jump to some of my favorite jokes of this chapter?
No, I think it's a good time to jump to jokes. I think I'll just really quickly call out. Again, it's so impressive that we have this backstory about a woman who at some point literally calls out that I'm starting to get breasts as one of her lines that is what she's recognizing in her perceived inferiority in this world of men. I was impressed with that wording there, and then again, it's also a little interesting to note that it goes under that trope of we also ditched her as a character to have Zoro have a motivation. So a lot going on in the same thing, but again, I just want to call that line out because I definitely struck me.
Yeah, it's actually it's very real. Like,
it is real.
Why would you write that in like a manga that's meant for under 15-year-old boys, right? Like to tell the target audience.
Potentially, that you answered the question there as you said it to my mind a little bit. Just mentioning the words a little taboo is the only thing I thought of right there. But that's not how I read it initially. It felt very real in the moment. So
yeah. Also, I also think it's such a good way of saying that like he's bringing up like gender issues in the middle of a shonen manga, right? Like what?
Yeah,
the
no,
heck,
no.
right?
That's what, it's like. It's like maybe he pushed as far as he could in this chapter down that line, which is pretty interesting to see. But no, let's dig ourselves out with some more lighthearted humor. we dwelled enough on the tragedy for this chapter. Let's see what's bringing us up.
All right, to my favorite section. OP got jokes. Wow. I actually have no idea what noise you were making. I saw you making noises on your screen. I have no idea what you were doing.
If anyone's seen Shrek 2, it's Donkey's like.
That's
like a bottle opening noise.
Wacky reference. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's good. We're still gonna keep it. There's no way we're editing that out. It's already in. It's set in stone. My first joke is the Helmeppo shield. God, this bit is so good. Okay, I have to just gush over about this bit a little bit. Luffy, at the beginning of this chapter, running around the base, holding Helmeppo essentially like a purse, right? Holding it under his arm is like, yo, where's your room? Where's your room? Where's your room? They eventually hit a place because Helmeppo is such a weakling. He's not even fighting back. He's like, let me be a shield apparently. Or let me just be a prop. But they run into some Marines and the Marines are like, freeze! And then Helmeppo was like, shoot him! And then Luffy essentially looks at them. And he's like, God, let me get the right phrasing here. Cause
bring it up.
So much in this beginning section. Right? He goes and, the Marines catch up to them. They hold their guns at Luffy. Luffy's still holding Helmeppo. And they say, drop the captain's son or we'll shoot. And Luffy has this really cool, at least I think it's a cool small panel of him turning around looking real aggressive. He's like, I don't want to. And I expect him to like throw a punch or something. He doesn't. He just slowly moves Helmeppo in front of him. And Helmeppo's like, huh? That's how Luffy was going to stop this fight. Was like, I'm going to put him
and you know what? It's actually even a little more curious now that we know this chapter ends with Luffy being essentially impervious to bullets,
Right.
No, it's even funnier.
Yeah.
He was just messing around.
Which I think is really funny. I just gotta call it. I think that's my favorite joke. It's such a good visual gag, and you can just picture it, right? You can picture the Looney Tunes of it, the cartoony of it, of him like picking a Helmeppo like a prop, putting it in front of him, and then running with them. So good.
Yeah, no, and there's another moment around there where if I think they pass Helmeppo's room, and Helmeppo has to like redirect him. But he said he basically would have been able to tell Luffy where they were headed if Luffy would have just slowed down a little bit. And so Helmeppo's like, "Oh my goodness, you're just carrying me around like a person. Of course I can't direct you properly through these halls to the room where the swords are. Jeez."
That's actually
Luffy's
what
just upset.
I think that's what motivates Luffy to put him in front of him, actually, because that's why he's turning back around, because now he has to go through the Marines, which is it's just really funny.
Yeah.
My other joke is and we mentioned it, is the Luffy is immune to bullets because the bullets in this world, at least that they're shooting, they're round. So they can't pierce them.
They're not going to pierce through the rubber. No, they're just going to go into the rubbery skin of this gum demon boy and bounce right back.
Yeah, and I love that joke because also I love the back and forth afterwards. That's when Zoro goes, "What are you?" And then he goes, "I'm going to be the king of pirates, baby." And then also later on, we pay off, like from chapter 2, they've called Zoro a demon. Yes. And after Luffy goes, "Hey, they're about to kill you. You got to fight. And once you fight, you're an outlaw, man." And Zoro goes, "You are a demon." While laughing.
No, it's good.
Yeah. Because
turning it back on him.
Why the heck not, right? We're in it together now, bro.
I think there was one other bit of humor that I like. It's actually it's almost the, it's like the intelligent joke. This is the, Zoro has been beaten 2,000 times by Kuina, and then Zoro, of course, challenges her one more time, and then she says, "Now I've beaten you 2,001 times." And I don't know, when you see characters doing math, it just, for some reason, we all like doing it. We all like adding 1 to numbers, especially if it's a big number. I thought it just strikes me as funny on the page.
It's also real sassy.
Yeah, real sassy. Yeah, 2001 times now, huh?
Yeah, because in her head is like, you thought that fighting with real swords was gonna help you, like that was the difference. Like for the 2000th time when you fought me with the bamboo sticks, like bamboo swords, you were like, okay, let's switch it up to real swords, and this is gonna help me win this fight. That's what it is. She's afraid to get stabbed. That's what's gonna stop her. Like, come on, bro. Yeah. Anything else? Any other jokes you got on your side of things?
No, I don't think I got anything more. And if you don't either, it may be time to wind down to, I guess it would be our 5th battle, our 5th panel battle. One day when we're not doing this over the internet in person, that's going to sound a lot better.
Yeah, it's going to sound like a freaking mess in a little bit here for you all. I'm not even sorry you all had to listen to that. It's just the nature of the game. You all are in it.
Yeah. New music genre coming out.
You started last time, so I got to start, huh?
Yes, you do.
All right, so this segment is our panel battle. A panel battle in the sense that I choose a favorite panel, and I have Jacob interpret them and kind of read it out loud and describe it to you all, the listeners, and then we'll kind of break down why. Well, he'll probably mention why I like it in his description of the panel, and I'll do the same for Jacob.
Maybe.
And the battle
I
portion,
might do it.
yeah,
I'll see about it.
And then the battle portion comes from you all, actually, by emailing in at grandlinetourist@gmail.com. Which one won? Do you agree? You know, the most votes wins, and also maybe we're both wrong. You choose your own, and you add yourself into the panel battle.
Yeah, that's right. No, this is a very inclusive panel battle. You know, anyone can join, anyone can win, but if the votes happen to be counted wrong, I can't speak to that, you know.
All right.
So, which of the panels on this page that I'm looking at is your chosen panel?
Okay, I cheated. I chose
cheated.
2.
You chose 2 panels? Okay, which 2?
And you know which 2 it is on this page.
Oh wait, actually I'm not sure. Oh well, there's actually a 2. If I could have picked 2, I might have picked 2 on this page. And I don't think it's going to be the 2 you would have picked. But okay,
it's it's the film nerd one that I like. And
okay. No, this is the top. These are the top 2 panels, right?
No, the bottom 2.
Oh, the bottom 2. Oh,
yeah,
okay,
the middle one, and then the one right underneath it. Essentially, I'm calling out the match cut. The way that
no, Eric, that's what I was referring to when I said I would have picked 2 on this page.
Yeah,
I would have done this. No. So this wasn't my choice, but okay. This is very good. We have Helmeppo being squeezed and used as a human shield by Luffy as a kind of middle third-ish panel of this page, stretching across the whole page, and he's just saying "wah wah," and his face is just there's a lot of these in One Piece actually. Mouth wide open, you know, face, yeah, extremely in fear. You know, this has got the I really like the tongues and the teeth, and whenever they do close-ups like this of screaming, where it just looks like, if you look at it closely, it's like a circle, and then some weird ovals. It looks really good, but if you ever break it down element by element, it looks very creepy. But it's a match cut because we're gonna jump to not Luffy and Helmeppo. We're gonna jump to what is going on with Kobe, who has just been shot, and his mouth is also in like the same exact sort of position as Helmeppo's. Obviously, though, in a bit more pain than Helmeppo is in, because I've been shot. I'm bleeding, Glasses on the ground. He's not in a great state. Blood on his hands. And it's actually a particularly good match cut because I think Kobe and Helmeppo's faces very similar, Mm-hmm. And like when you really zoom in up on them a little bit. So I love the choice. Like I thought about this myself, but
yeah,
I stick to the rules. I'm
really
cool... No, we don't have rules here.
Oh, we don't. It's a battle, baby. It's a panel battle. I love it because
I use one panel. I'm gonna use two panels.
Right. I just love the technique of it because if you look at it, if you read these because there's actually a panel in between these two panels. If you read all three of them in order, it's a really cool like pull out, zoom out thing. So. Right, if you start in with the zoom in, the closer zoom in on Helmeppo screaming, then we get actually an outside shot, which there are Ahs, but you don't. There's actually two Ahs written out. We actually don't know who's screaming, whose Ahs they belong to. But if you're just reading panel by panel, if I did it like filmically, I would probably have them both overlap, like their voices overlap, because then the next thing is just like a natural progression of like a pull out on the same face, but now it's Helmeppo. And I think that's super cool, super creative.
And one thing I want to get across here is in the panel that's in between the two match cut faces, that is the tower that we're looking at?
Yep, the base, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm going to give you a lot of props now as the tour guide, because I did not understand the panel in between. To me, it's very obvious now if you look at it a little closer and you pay a little more attention to detail, which is what I'm always struggling to do with comics in One Piece. And every time I do, I'm rewarded. So you as a tour guide pointing this out is perfect. It kind of looked like a stick to me.
So
I don't know.
That's what I was just thinking now that you made me rethink. It could either be the stick of Zoro's crucifix.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
That might be actually what it is.
To me, it was an unidentified stick, which I just kind of read past it when I really should have slowed down and decided that I think that is clearly what it is. We're looking at the crucifix top to the pole that Zoro is tied to, which, basically provides a new setting that we know we're switching to help make the match cut make more sense, which is, primo. Really good.
Master class. Yes.
Yeah. All I did was see the match cuts of the faces, and I was,
Yeah, my first interpretation was I thought that was the building, but after looking at it again, that's definitely the top of Zoro's crucifix.
Yeah, very cool. I like that. It was like we had a little investigation there. It's good.
Yeah, we broke it down together.
Thank you. No, very good. I bow to my tour guide.
Thank you all. All
right, are you ready to open my panel?
Yes. Okay.
Do it. Oh, it's slightly. I think it may not be rotated the proper way for you, but you can just tilt your head.
Yeah, no, I got it. This is a really cool, iconic kind of like samurai iconography. This is definitely probably Oda's nod to like just samurai stories in general. We see a silhouette. And this is probably, I think, at night when Zoro's challenging Hyuna with the real swords, right?
This is time 2001.
Right. Yes, 2001. I think this is a really cool panel for you to choose. I love it too. We see two silhouettes of a young Zoro, a young Hyuna, with the moon in the background, like obviously over-exaggerated, huge moon. The silhouettes, the shadows of their silhouettes being reflected off the light of the moon to the ground, making the shadows look bigger as they're both swinging at each other, jumping towards each other. We have a "you are" and a "yeah." Yeah, it's dope. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and it's kind of clear from that it's kind of got this Japanese filmic samurai vibe going on, which totally works with the section of the chapter that we're in where we have the complete black backgrounds. And another thing, I am bad at paying attention to details. I picked this panel, but there's also the you got two swords versus one sword. You can see it right there in the silhouettes.
Yep.
It's good. I like my eyes just sometimes glaze past these things, and I like when we slow it down and we do a little bit of a battle so we can dwell in on the details.
I just have to point out too, if I had to just go by the logic of what the panel I'm reading, I think Hyuna maybe touched his sword twice and he was already disarmed. Like, just based off the fight and the way the fight looks, right? Like, the way the time passes. And I think this is really solidified, definitely when we talk about next chapter, in the way he does fights. But, like, the way this looks, it looks like they jumped at each other. She deflected twice, and then he's disarmed. Like, she beat him real fast.
Yeah, no, and if he's... They kind of reference the fact that he's, like, decently good. So, like, she's amazing is what that means, you know?
Exactly. I love that panel, man. That's really cool. That's like a very cool Oda just callback to like samurai stories. That's a trope. I mean, Kill Bill freaking did like a silhouette fight.
Oh, yeah. No, Kill Bill doing the same sort of thing. This is a very classic look to it, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope we get someone telling me that my panel is clearly superior.
That's fair, because you actually did follow the rules that you chose one panel where I chose.
Well, you know what? I think I'd like to have a little verbal onomatopoeia sword fight with you to end this podcast, you know?
All right, let's do it.
I think as a good, what's the word? You made it. It's such a beautiful alliteration. Something rival.
Recognized rival.
As a good recognized rival, I'll let you take the first onomatopoeia swipe.
Okay, this is my sword is still sheathed, so you guys are gonna have to picture that. Okay.